Dr. G.
Hey, welcome. This is Frisky Biscuit, and we are happy to have you along with us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're watching and listening. Frisky Biscuit is a podcast that barely makes it on the air every time, and we're so surprised when we're here. I got my partner here with me today. Lisa, I better turn you up.
I know, I can't hear myself.
There we go.
I'm totally. You can hear me. I can't hear me.
We're 30 seconds into the podcast. I've completely lost control already. Hey, we got an interesting show today because we're going to do something we've never done before. And we are going to talk to a guy that's probably one of the most successful YouTubers out there. And
what a great guy, and what a great interview. I had so much fun talking to him and so impressed by who he is. It's just... thank you, Russ, first for coming on our show today. And I think you'll agree with us of what's all about Russ. So I can't wait.
It is all about Russ, but he's a cool guy. His channel, RVerTV, is pretty amazing. And you swear you're just riding along in the truck with him as he's touring all these cool places. So we're going to be talking to Russ here in just a few moments. And, the cool thing about him is he was one of the YouTubers that's come on board here lately and is extremely successful. We could all learn a few lessons from him, and we're planning on it ourselves.
And so kind. I mean, one of the stories he told of, there was an older gentleman in an old folks home that just wanted to see his show, so all 70, 80 people in the home had to watch the show too. So every week now, they all get together and watch his show, and he sent them all kinds of paraphernalia and cups and T-shirts, and just the heart that he has, it comes through on the camera.
It's very cool.
I suppose ours does too. I hope so.
I don't know if our heart comes through on the camera, but we are definitely wearing orange today. Does anybody notice?
Yes, we look like cones.
We look like a couple of road cones out here. And I have my Moose T-shirt on. I'm so proud of this.
Yes.
We love our Moose logo. Everybody says, what's the deal about the Moose logo? We don't know. We just think it's fun.
Well, he's so cross-eyed when he looks at you, and you can't help but laugh. It's kind of like, where's Waldo? It's like, where's our moose today? And right today, it is on his shirt.
It is.
So we have some really cool things today to talk about. We have to talk about Yellowstone. I mean, we're so close. It is America's favorite and oldest park. And it's so close to us here in Idaho. So we'll go over and talk about Yellowstone a little bit. They are reopening this coming week on Wednesday again. So only a portion of the park will be opened, and we'll tell you the ins and outs of how to get through. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about California's migration. We're certainly seeing them migrate here to Florida, to Texas, Arizona, a lot of states. Last year alone, 360,000 people migrated out of California due to the droughts, due to the wildfires, due to
the easy living,
the challenges, that they have. And then we're also going to talk about today, I'm really excited, is our new Amazon. And it's right on our website, frisky-biscuit.com. It'll also be listed in the podcast and on our YouTube channel. And I'm really excited for two reasons. One, it was so much fun putting it together. I felt like I could just go shopping all over again.
Oh, no.
And it is an affiliate program, so it gives us a little bit of income to pay for all our production costs. However, even more importantly, all those things that are required to get RVing, to get out on the road, to stay healthy, we didn't make a lot of mistakes because it took us over a year to get our rig. And during that year, we had some really good advice, some really good mentors, so we didn't make a lot of mistakes. And I've listed a lot of our items on our Amazon channel. And I made it really easy. I only put them in 5 different categories. So we'll talk a little bit more in detail, or we can start with that. What do you want to do?
Well, I think one of the things that the elephant in the living room right now, close to us here in Idaho, is Yellowstone. And last week we were over there, and the program, we were on our way back home. The program you watched the last time, with our friends, and we were thinking about going through Yellowstone, and something told us, well, let's just not go home that way, and we're just come straight back to Twin Falls. And boy, are we glad we did, because all hell broke loose over there. I mean, it tore the place up, and the word we got was it could be inevitable before they ever open it again. So. But
yes
they are
and
going to
no.
open again.
They are going to open up this Wednesday is what they're slated for, but only a few of the entrances. The north entrance is completely closed. Up in Gardiner, one of the things people aren't talking about is that whole town is like an island now. A lot of people in Gardiner lost their homes. They've flooded out. You can help them, actually. If you want to go to the Gardiner Chamber of Commerce, you can actually send a check physically to the town itself to help some of the people. And the other, let me see, there's another website that I can give you. I'm not seeing it right in front of me, but I'll get that website. I'll make sure that I put it on the channel itself so you can send donations if you want to. But the north section of Yellowstone is not going to be opened again this year for sure, and maybe inevitably. However, the east, the west, and the south entrances, Cody,
West Yellowstone.
Wyoming, West Yellowstone, they're all going to open up this coming week. However, it's really funny how they're doing it. Here's the details for opening. First off, you can only go, public vehicles are only going to be based on the last digit of their license plate, whether it's odd or even, for the odd or even days of the calendar. So if your license plate ends in a 5, then you'll be able to go on the odd days into the park. If it ends in a 6, on an odd day, you can't go.
Sounds a lot like doing math.
It
Sounds
is.
like government work to me.
It is. And if you're a
Who came up with
personalized
this
license plate, if you have a personalized license plate like Yellowstone or Frisky Biscuit, you have to go into the odd category. So remember,
Totally
if you
makes sense.
personalized, you're odd. And if you have mixed numbers, then the last digit is what you go into. So if you've got M's and Z's and 4s and 3s, whatever the last digit is the day you can go in. Now, if you're commercial, you can go in any day. Motorcycles, they aren't quite sure yet to do with the motorcycles. So they're thinking the motorcycles only go on even dates. So they're not
Well,
odd.
of course, that makes total sense. You know, who in the hell comes up with this stuff? I mean, the thought that went into this, and you just given me a headache even talking about it. You know what I say?
Be government, right?
What I say to that, I say, well, we'll just go next year.
Yeah.
This is way too complicated.
That's right.
You got to know math and physics in order to visit the park, which is a shame. I love that place. Been there several times, and
well, it's volatile, though. Remember back in 1988,
Yes.
when they had that big fire? So Yellowstone has a mind and breath of its own. You know, it is our crown jewel. It's 150 years old this year. It's its anniversary. It's our oldest park. We all love it.
That's right. This is its anniversary year with all this going on.
Yeah.
Too. What a shame.
Yeah.
Man.
And, you know, the heavy rains with the high temperatures is what caused the flooding originally. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, go and check out some of the channels and the bridges that just fell in. They had to evacuate everybody in the park. Some were airlifted out. The houses, there's a couple of them that were right on the river, no longer there. They just tumbled into the river. They had power outages, there's flooding, there's rock and mudslides, and that's still happening on the northern section, and that's why they're not opening it now. So our hearts go out to the town of Gardiner and all of those that lost their homes. Our hearts go out to you.
Boy, I tell you, we were involved in many of the fires in California, and 4 years in a row, and where people losing their homes, and one area was 20-some thousand homes, and a few hours was gone. And man, I tell you what, I do feel for the people over in Yellowstone, because that's even a different kind of a tragedy with water in the roads. And we were seeing helicopter pictures of people stranded out on pieces of pavement and this raging Yellowstone River roaring around them, and not even knowing if they were going to be able to survive or not. So it's serious, and any help any of us can do would probably be really appreciated. And the shame about it is the park is such a magnificent place that that northern half of it, I believe that's where the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone is, and many of these, the
good thing is Old Faithful will still be open.
Yeah.
Many of the campgrounds are still open. If you have a reservation in the campground, they are going to honor that, and you don't have to have a certain license plate. So you're not odd or even. You're okay. So you can go in, and if you're a postman, you can go in. All the commercials, people can go in and out. It's just if you're a tourist going through the park, definitely go on their website before you go and check out everything to make sure that you can get in the park. You don't want to go all the way there and not be able to get in.
On our motorhome, we have a custom license plate. It's almost embarrassing. It's called DeCools. I guess we'd be one of the weirdos going.
We're the odd because we have a custom license plate, which fits us. That's perfect.
Oh, man, I tell you. Well, let's talk about our Amazon store. You're all excited about that.
Oh, I'm so excited about the Amazon store. It was so much fun, I have to tell you, putting it together, because it made me realize all the cool stuff that we've purchased for our motorhome. What I did is I put it into 5 different categories. I know there's a 6th one. I still don't know how to get rid of that. The Amazon has a learning
We got a
curve
rogue
to
category out there that just won't go away.
I know, and it says the everything category, so just ignore that because it doesn't have anything in it. However, the other 5, I put podcast equipment. So all the equipment that we use to bring this podcast to you every week, you can see all the equipment that we've done. And we've got some really
We spent
good
way
ideas.
too much money on this stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, but you did a really good job with your background.
Well, my philosophy is if you spend a lot of money on equipment, it'll really be good. It has nothing to do with talent, but we're learning that we've got to have some talent here somewhere. We're going to start pulling it out
We're
for
learning
you.
that.
We're going to start pulling. In fact, Russ, the guy we're going to be talking to, he made it very, very clear. It's all about the audience and not us. So
Absolutely.
we got that clear.
And that's a big reason why we put this together, partly for us too, just to have some little bit of income coming in, but really to show you not to make some of the mistakes that we've heard that other RVers have. So I put it in 5 categories. You've got podcast equipment, RV cooking, RV essentials, RV maintenance, and health. Let's start with the health, because even if you do not have an RV yet, or you're a trucker, or you're a food truck person, anybody that's out on the road, you want to keep your health up. I'm just going to touch base on a couple of the items, because I could sit and do the whole podcast on Amazon, but I don't want to waste your time or bore you. I get excited about it. But there's a couple of things. First is SAM E and vitamin B. We take those every day religiously, and Gary's the one that actually turned me on to it. And maybe you, as a doctor, can tell a little bit about SAMe.
Well, SAMe is just a hybrid vitamin B, and it's pretty amazing because it works with your moods. It'll balance your mood out. If you have a tendency to be a little moody, and I do, it evens it right out. And then also if you have, some kidney issues, you're, taking a lot of medications and your kidneys suffer from it, it'll actually help your kidneys filter. And this is all clinically proven stuff, and it also works really well with your joints to get rid of a lot of the aches and the pains of joints. So SAMe is a pretty amazing compound, and it's been around for a long time. They got the Nobel Prize when they developed this years ago. So I've been taking it for years. I originally got it for hair growth.
Don't tell them that.
Just kidding.
The other thing I put on there, and I'll rearrange these so they're a little bit more correct in how you see them. Right now I just put them on. The other thing is Young Living. We discovered Young Living in January when we got the COVID crud, and it really worked for us. It actually didn't work with COVID so much. What Young Living oils are is they're distilled from plants and grasses and things of this earth. So what I found, I experimented with them, and one day I was cooking and I dropped some water on my hand and it burnt my hand. And I had some aloe. I put it on for maybe a half an hour and it didn't do anything. And so I thought, I'm going to attempt one of these oils. And I took out the eucalyptus and I put it on, and immediately the pain went away. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And then every night we use the Peace and Calming, which is in a little green bottle. And we both sleep like babies, and we ran out and we realized that we weren't sleeping so well. So they do work. So I put my favorite ones on there: lavender, frankincense, peace and calm. You can kind of take a look. There's also a book that has become my Bible, and it's called The Big Book of Essential Oils, and it's actually a little book. It's only $10 on Amazon. And if you have a headache, if you have a fever, if you have mosquito bites, you need a sunscreen, they have all the recipes with the oils. And so I found that to be invaluable, and we take it with us. We also distill all the oils in the air. And so whatever, if you need like brain power.
You mean diffuse the oil.
Diffuse it, yeah. What did I say, distill?
We're not distilling anything here. Let's be very clear.
Actually, I saw the distilling when I went to France a couple of years ago, and I saw the lavender fields and how they distilled, and it was fascinating. I wasn't into it then. I didn't know what I was actually looking at, and now I have a great respect for what it goes through to bring this little bottle of oil to you. So I won't go on and on. I could spend years on these oils. I'm so impressed with them.
She is a complete geek on this, by the way.
Yes.
Read, research. She does know what she's talking about with it, and they are pretty darn good. I have a sleeping issue, always have, even when I was a little kid, and just energy, high energy. And this stuff, the Peace and Calm, is one of the first things that I've ever used that actually works. Of all the things doctors have given me, all the, the stuff off the shelf, it works really well. And it's not perfect, and it's probably not going to work for everybody, but for me, it was kind of a miracle. So I'm very happy with this stuff. And it's not cheap. Because it's done right. And that's, there's a lot of people, you can get a lot of these oils in a lot of places, but it also depends on how they're made and how they're extracted, and a lot of them have fillers in them. And if you run a diffuser, you can see that because the diffuser gets dirty, and you've been running our diffuser now for some time, and nothing.
I haven't had any sentiment, so I would suggest sticking with the Young Living. We ran out of lavender one day, and I went locally and bought some, and it didn't work at all. And I've also read some things on it can actually hurt you because of some of the fillers that they put in. So I've just stuck with Young Living oils. I know they're pure. And one of the things also is your daughter-in-law has helped his son with ADHD, and pretty much he doesn't have it anymore, with a formula. So if you want that formula, just email me through our website, frisky-biscuit.com, and I can send that out to you. Also get that little book. It's really good. Okay, so let's move on to the cooking. We have all kinds of little items on there, and I stuck with the old Coleman stove because when we're out there cooking outside, it has the back flap and the side flaps, and it's really inexpensive. It uses the bottles, and they last forever. And I use an iron skillet when we cook any of our meats and steaks out there. They turn out to be the best, and it keeps all the grease out of the kitchen in the motorhome.
She does cook a mean steak, by the way.
Yeah.
She does.
So those are a couple favorites in the cooking category. Essentials, we have our walkie-talkie and our Swagtron bikes. I swear, we have met more people because of those little Swagtron bikes. Everybody wants them. The little kids love them. The grandparents all go, I want one of those, because there's no pedals. You just put your feet on these little areas for your feet.
They are a lot of fun.
And it's like a little motorcycle. They only go 10 miles, but that's enough.
On
to
our
get to the
website,
bathroom.
you can see one of those. I look really stupid riding it, but there's a picture of me. And I tell you, people are addicted to those things. And, you ought to check that out if you can get your hands on one. They sell them faster than they can make them.
Yeah, they were available right now, so I was really impressed with that. And then one other category is our RV maintenance. That's pretty much your category with F11, your compressor, the Happy Camper. Should I tell the Happy Camper story?
The Happy Camper story is really interesting because we kind of laughed, Happy Camper is something you put in your black tank in a motorhome or an RV trailer to keep it from smelling. And of course we laughed and blah, ha, ha, ha. But man, I'll tell you what, you ought to put that everywhere because it works really, really well. We have never had a problem with that. And,
well, it's really funny how we found it. We didn't find it. It found us. And not because of the smell. It's because we stopped at a place to get a couple of RV supplies when we first got our camper van. And after that, we went and put diesel in our truck. And we got a phone call. And luckily, we were still in town. Luckily, I answered the phone call, and it was the gentleman that had rang us up. He accidentally put the wand that you scan over the items into our bag, and it was in our camper. And so we took the time, it was about 15 minutes, and went back and gave it to him, and he was so grateful because his boss would have killed him. And he gave us RV toilet paper and Happy Camper. And we're so, I wish I knew his name because we're so grateful to him.
It was good.
It really does work.
It's good stuff. And a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, it's great. So those are just a few of the items. There's tons and tons of items that we found that work over the, 2 years we've had our van. And we haven't made any mistakes, I could say. I mean, the mat that we put out front is amazing. Our neighbors used a regular mat that just was like a carpet that had they had to throw it away afterwards because it had so many stickers in it. The one that we have, we just sweep it off, put it back in. So I really encourage you to go take a look at frisky-biscuit.com and check out those items, whether you require any or not. There may be something in there that might spark your interest.
And the stuff on our list, we talked about this. It's stuff we're actually using right now. We've bought a lot of stuff, as probably a lot of you have, and a lot of it hasn't worked. And these are only the things that we use every day, and they work amazingly well. And if you're going to start traveling, and like Lisa said, if you're not even in a motorhome or an RV trailer, it doesn't matter. These are useful things, just like the first aid kit we've got.
Oh,
and those kind of things.
We have 2 of them on there,
yeah,
which is great because we keep one in the bay that has everything. It's a big one, and the small one. And I did a lot of research, and these 2 came up well, and I can see why, because they're very well organized, and they have everything. Most of the first aid kits have everything that you require. However, can you find it in an emergency? And there's also a little first aid book on there that if you can find it on Amazon, which is still available right now, it's a great little book to have.
That's not on our site?
It is on our site. But sometimes, they run out. So they have run out before, that little book. So,
right. Well, without further ado, why don't you introduce Russ, and we'll play your interview with Russ.
Okay.
Tell the people a little bit more about him and what brought this on.
Okay. Russ is his channel. If you haven't watched it before, it's definitely worth seeing. It's on YouTube. It's called, what's it called?
RVerTV.
RVer.
Sorry, Russ.
TV. RVer TV.
Yeah.
And he does such a great job. His whole genre is travel. So he'll take you to the Grand Canyon. He takes you to all kinds of little places out of the way. He loves small towns. He's an expert with drone footage. And the way he puts them together, you feel like when you watch his videos, and this is his modality, and he does it very, very well, is you're sitting next to him and you're traveling with him. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's taken off, is you are there with him traveling. Also, he just loves what he does. His heart is into it, and he has a lot of subscribers. It's really well done. So if you haven't watched RVer's TV on YouTube, it's worth a shout.
It is. So without further ado, here's Russ.
Welcome to Frisky Biscuit Podcast. And today we have Russ with RVer TV. Hi, Russ. Welcome to the channel.
Well, hello, Lisa. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. We love your channel. We really love that. First, I want to say congratulations on over 25 million viewers watching. Or hits on your channel watching it. Quite impressive. Those of you that are listening out there today, if you haven't watched RVer's TV on YouTube, definitely take a look at it. So my first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into full-time RVing and going to all these small towns. Like, what did you do before you got into this modality?
Oh, well, I was born and raised back east in Ohio. Moved to California. I spent 30 years of my life in the real world, working, homes, dogs, lawn mowing, and all that. And but during those years, I always had like boats. I had a small travel trailer for a while. And my daughter was in school, and make a long story short, back in the early 2000s, I went back to Ohio to take care of my dad. There's actually a video about this. And he was getting old, World War II guy. And I really wanted to get him out of there and come back to West Coast and travel. And so we bought this old motorhome. Well, make a long story short, I found him laying on the floor one morning, and it turned into assisted living, nursing homes, and then he finally passed. And I actually lived in that motorhome while I was back there in Ohio for a year and a half taking care of him. Oh. And so after he passed, I'm driving back to California. Life is going to go on. I was just going to get rid of it. And that's a long drive between Ohio and the West Coast, and going across, I have my dog with me, and I'm looking at this thing, I'm going, I've lived in here for a year and a half, and here I am thinking, well, the cost it's going to be to get another house and all this stuff. And by Iowa, I had decided to keep the motorhome. By Nebraska, I said I'm going to really keep it and live in it. And I ended up in Montana. I didn't even make it to California. And I went up to Montana for a month. I really needed a break from all this stuff. I was in a whirlwind with my dad and everything. Anyway, I ended up meeting the owners of this RV park up there. And they go, "What are you doing?" I go, "Right now, nothing." They go, "You want a job?" I go, "Doing what?" They go, "Cutting grass on this riding lawnmower." I go, "Sure, you're going to pay me to do that?" And they go, "Plus, we'll give you rent." Oh. "You're going to pay my rent and pay me to sit in this mower to ride around this RV park?" And I go, "Yes." Well, that started, and I mean, then I was doing maintenance for him because I have a construction background, and then I ended up being the RV park manager for 7 years.
Wow.
And during that time, I started working on RVs, detailing them, all kinds of different things. And that's what started the RV lifestyle for me. And what I did figure out in Montana is you don't want to be there in the winter in an RV. So what I did then was all these people coming through, all the snowbirds, the Canadians coming through Montana, go, "You got to come down to Arizona." I go, "Really?" "Well, I have an RV." "Okay." So I started doing the Arizona thing in the winter time. And that's how my RV lifestyle started. And it's been going 16 years now, 17, I think.
16. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you've been out there a long time.
Yes.
Is there any, a lot of the young people that are getting into the RV lifestyle and RV living, do you have a couple of nugget points that you would say somebody starting out would, besides watching your 900 videos?
Well, it's a good lifestyle, but it's still similar to living in a home. I mean, you still have insurances, health. I mean, you're living in a vehicle with wheels on it instead of a brick and mortar place. So you still have all your real world things. A lot of people are under the perception, "Oh, I'm going to live for free and live off the land and all that." And a lot of young people start and then they get in trouble out there. And
that's a good point. It is the same, and maybe a little harder in some ways because you're mobile and moving, and you're having to deal with the things you don't normally deal with at house, like the electric and the plumbing and the tires.
Exactly. And so one is just have your eyes open that it's not just free living like a lot of you hear on the online and some of it. And it is, in a sense, you're free spirited and you can travel free, and it is a great lifestyle. And I think like looking for work and that kind of thing too, there's a broad area that you can look. It's different than being at a home base, in a residential area, but it's definitely very rewarding, and I highly encourage people to do it. Also, I do encourage, before you jump in both feet, sometimes it's put a tent in the car, go out to a campground, make sure that's the kind of lifestyle you want. Go rent an RV. Before you go out and spend $100 RV, go rent one a couple times, make sure it's what you want.
I know you had mentioned too that a lot of your listeners that do go out there and decide to go full time, they are attempting to decide what type of work to do. And do you have any suggestions on that? Because you just said it's a little different than if you have a brick and mortar house.
Yeah, most of the work is seasonal work. We're out in the RV world because of weather mainly. You know, you're going to be north in the summer times where it's cooler. You don't want to be in a 120-degree desert. And then in the winter, you're down in the desert. So it's a lot more seasonal work, and that can be anywhere from working part-time in a restaurant, say, or that kind of thing. There's a lot of people that will hire seasonal workers. There's a lot of different campgrounds for you, you know, to work in an RV park, but those are getting fewer and fewer. There's big concessionaires that run all the state and federal parks. That's not run by the government. Those are private companies. I forget the names of them now, but anyway, they're online and they produce thousands of jobs and they pay you. Yeah, it's a real job. Allow me to wear a uniform. You get perks like maybe a site, propane, that kind of thing too. And but almost all the national parks are all run by private companies.
Oh, that's good to know. That's really good to know. And I know watching your videos, one of the things that really attracted me to it is your amazing photography. And I know that's one of the things that you do with your work is photography and also the filmmaking. And you mentioned you went to school for filmmaking. Tell us a little bit about that and your photography.
Well, ever since I was little, my dad gave me an old box camera when I was 6 years old, black and white, and had the old film and wound it. And I've always been a photography freak. I love pictures. My daughter growing up, I took thousands of pictures. And even back in the old days, I bought the video camera that was the size of a suitcase.
I remember those.
Go to the softball game and say, "Look at Daddy," and she'd go, "No, no, no." And now she cherishes those videos, by the way. But had them all digitized. But to go back to that, I've taken about every amateur photography course I could find online. Filmmaking, living in California, I had access to a lot of, I'd say like community style training for filmmaking, photography, that kind of thing. And it just kind of morphed into that. And I love it. I love the lighting. I like the aerial views and all that with the drone.
Well, your aerial views, oh my gosh, the drone views are just incredible. How do you decide when to fly your drone? And I know the landscape is beautiful and you want to see the whole area, but is there a method that you use to decide? And are there rules and regulations now? I know that changed a couple of years ago. People were getting in trouble for using their drone.
Yeah, well, I had to bite the bullet, and I actually went and got the FAA's certificate. I'm a licensed drone pilot because of the YouTube thing, because they deemed it I was a commercial user, which is fine. I went to the school, I got it and went through it, and I got the license I carry with me. Renews every 2 years. And to determine where you fly, I mean, there's so much open area where I go. It's illegal to fly in like national parks and a lot of places like that, or you don't want to fly next to a high rise. You know, you're going to get in trouble. There's all kinds of apps that you can go by. One is called Before You Fly. B, the letter or the number 4, then U, then fly. And it's maps. And you bring it up and it'll show you restricted areas that you cannot fly in. Also, FAA now, they have what they call like a recreational use style license. And it's just an online course. You take it and it opens up bigger areas for you to fly in legally.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it's not that they don't want to. It's like, some people say, well, they can't tell me what to do. Well, you're not supposed to drive a car on a sidewalk. So, right. So you're not supposed to fly a drone over a crowded, venue at 10 feet above their heads, 40 miles an hour.
Right.
If the battery died, people will get hurt. And
So
the
they
whole
give them
thing,
some parameters, and that's really good to have a course.
yeah. And it's all about safety, you know. And like, I try to get up, most of the flights you'll see on my channel are either early morning or later in the afternoon. I really use the lighting of the sun
Oh,
to
that makes
try
sense.
to, if there's a mountain range, I want that thing to be colorful and beautiful. And usually early morning, if the sun's behind me, then I can capture that for the colors and all that. So some of it's planning, or sometimes I'll sit in a van for 5 hours waiting for the sun to start going down and capture the evening shot.
Well, we sure
I
love
love
your
it.
videos. The drone adds so much to it. And I know one video that you just came out with in the last week or two was all about solar. And you interviewed somebody on your channel regarding solar and more living off the grid. And I know we're all kind of being forced into that way, whether we're doing it, biting and struggling, or, you know, wanting to go that way. Give us a little bit, some nuggets on there on what you've done to help yourself get up off the grid in the solar and your bicycle. You know, tell us a little bit of, since you're full-time RVing out there and going into these small towns, what have you done that might help some of the listeners on that end?
Well, when you get into the, excuse me, the solar, you got to have it anymore. To give you an example, years ago, when I first started going to quartzsite, everyone stayed in the RV park. No one stayed in the desert because there was no solar. You had to have generators and all that to be out in the desert. Now everyone has solar. They're all out in the desert. RV parks are empty now. You know? So the power of that, you can put on the amount of solar panels and the batteries and all that you can install in a camper, a small van. Like my van has over 800 amp hours of power. I can power up televisions, microwaves, you name it, in that little van. Wow. And be totally self-contained. It'll recharge itself every day without ever plugging in. One of the drawbacks to that is the cost. You know, there's a lot of cost in solar.
Did you have a big learning curve as well?
Yeah, and the best, and right now, more of these plug and play type systems like Jackery, Blue Eddy, they're coming out with, it's an all-in-one battery where it has its own charge controller, inverter. All you do is charge it up and plug in your appliances or your van or whatever. Those are very popular, and I highly recommend those because they cost a little more, but not everybody keeps the same RV for years. You can take it with you.
That's a good point.
You're
That's
not
a really
putting
good point.
$15,000 on the roof, hard mount, and you sell your RV, you're not going to get the money back out of that solar system. The RV's only going to be worth what the RV's worth. You might get a little extra for a bigger solar system, but the value of an RV is like any vehicle, it depreciates.
Yeah, boy, that's a good point. Plug and play. I like that idea.
Yeah. So it costs a little more up front, but you can take it with you, use portable panels. And if you decide, like some of these people that redo these old school buses, I mean, they put in a ton of solar, but they live in it. That's their home. Yeah. And the second part of your question, tips and tricks for traveling in 2022. I mean, with the fuel prices just spiking through the roof, what I'm doing is not worrying how far I can go on a gallon. It's what I can see within burning that gallon of fuel. And so say like I have a budget of $150 a week or $100 a week for my fuel, and it's going to get me 200 miles. What can I see in that 200 miles for that week or two? And that's the way I'm going to look at it. I'm not going to let it stop me from traveling. I'm going to keep traveling. Might not go as far, but you know what? You never know what you're going to find. There's so much hidden history in local communities. And you're going to find that every time you go. There's tiny little museums. There's some old timer that was a celebrity.
Yes.
Some old farmer. There's local rodeos. There's local little county fairs and festivals, a potato festival, a flower festival. You know, there's always something. in these little towns. And if you look hard enough, you're really going to find some hidden gems.
Hey, do you plan ahead quite far, or just in the next week or month? Because your videos, it looks like when I look at them, it just is free flowing, going with the flow. You never seem to have any problems finding anywhere. And I know you do some planning. So how far in advance do you plan?
I'll look at by the month. You know, I know, because I'm producing videos, and I've tried to figure out the timing, because once again, I don't want to go to an area that say like there's a forest fire going. I don't want to go to Northern California when it's on fire and all the smoke and all that. So I'll target Colorado. I'll go up to South Dakota or something like that. But I try to do it by the month. I do not plan the actual destination itself. Once I get in the area, then by the day I'll look at stuff, and I'll do a lot of online exploring. And also some of the places I've been multiple times. And so I kind of know what to expect when I get there. So, but yeah, I'll look at it by a month to start, and then just by the day when I get there.
So you don't follow the weather?
Kinda. I mean, I don't like this weekend.
In the winter.
No Montana in the winter, and no Phoenix in the summer. This weekend it was 114 in Phoenix.
Oh my gosh.
I don't care what kind of RV you have, you're not going to be comfortable in.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, one question I have to ask you that I never see on your videos is, do you eat? Do you stay in?
Yeah. Look at me.
Out? Like, how do you do your meals?
I'm wasting away to nothing here. I do eat, and I eat a lot. I don't eat out because I travel on my own. I rarely eat out. I carry a lot of stuff for sandwiches, salads, that kind of thing. I carry a little skillet I can cook in. Get tired of my own cooking. And I try to eat a lot of fruits and that kind of thing.
Well, we hope to meet up with you one day down in Quartzsite, or meet up here. We really appreciate you, Russ, coming on the Frisky Biscuit podcast, and appreciate your time.
Well, I've really enjoyed it, and thank you guys.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll see you on the road. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye.
You got a booger right there.
Thank you, Russ. What did you say? I have a booger right there. The mic was on.
Oh,
the
I'm
mic
sorry.
was on. The camera was on. She does this to me.
It's life. I didn't want you to be embarrassed.
Oh man, I tell you what, you've got to be careful of that. That hurts, you know. Anyway, Russ, thank you so much, man. The guy is just full of. We could have talked to him for 5 hours, and just, you know, he's just a relaxed, cool guy, and he absolutely is the real deal out there. And he made a good point during his talk. Remember when he said this used to be about the RVs and the RVing, you know, because it's kind of a hot thing right now. But he said it's really kind of turned into a travel channel, and it really is, because he gets into the crux of he goes some of these museums, and Russ is like me. He just kind of walks through it really quick. You can see what's there. So if you want to go there, you got a good idea what's there. So,
and I love the part that he said is, how much per mile can you actually see, rather than how many miles can you go for the summer of 2022. Yeah. I think that is a great bumper sticker and something to tattoo for all of us, of how to use the best of our abilities in these challenging times as far as fuel costs go. Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap things up here in a few moments. Was there a couple of other things you wanted to go over before we, like who sponsors us, like Mooseye Grantology?
Oh, yes.
A real quick word about what you do to help nonprofits out there. Wouldn't hurt probably somebody.
Okay. You know, if you do have a nonprofit and you are requiring funding and money for your nonprofit, for your mission, give us a shout out. It's MooseyGrantology.com. Our whole business model is to help you, the nonprofit, to write grants, winning grants, so you can do your mission. So MooseyGrantology.com. Love to talk to you.
Well, guess what? We have exhausted this 45-minute period that we'd love to do this with you each week. And one of the things that we want you to always think about is how to contact us. So, Lisa, how do they contact us? And what would they want to do that for?
Okay, well, we'd love to talk to you. Frisky-Biscuit.com has all the genres on it. It has all our ways to get into the podcast. You can actually click on the upper portion of the website and it takes you right to the podcast. Our Amazon is on there. You can email us through that. You can also see us on YouTube at Frisky Biscuit Podcast. And we'd love to hear your comments on YouTube, and subscribe and hit that like button, and you can get our videos every week as they come out. And we love you. We thank you for listening and watching us.
Next week, Lisa's kind of talked me into doing something that we haven't done on here. And I think we're going to feature one segment in our program talking about the 7 virus words that can change your life if you eliminate these words out of your vocabulary. It's the real deal. I've done the research on it myself, years and years of study, and I can prove it. And I think you've talked me into it. We'll do it next week.
Oh, good. Yeah, you take those words out of your vocabulary, your life will change, and the way people interact with you will change, and it change for the better. They're very powerful.
It turns you into a real road warrior.
Yeah.
So until next week, this is Dr. G and Lisa saying bye-bye. Take care of yourself. We love all of you. Contact us, and be sure to comment when you watch a video. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
Okay? Bye-bye.
Hit that like button.